The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily represent those of this station or its management.
This is the Stockwell Roche Show, giving you real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Josh Roche.
Good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Twin Cities. You're listening to the Stockwell Roche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Josh Roche, RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
And you're listening to AM 1280, The Patriot. Every Sunday at 10 a.m. we're on, talking all things real estate to help you, the consumer, become informed.
Perfect.
Real estate. Real estate. And we want you to be informed, educated, and make good decisions. And we have great people here today for you today. We have Gary and Marina Wilkerson with Premier Title. They own and run a title company here in the Twin Cities, and we're going to be talking about home construction and what that means to you and how to go about buying home construction and how title insurance can play into that. Investing in real estate and what some of the steps that you have to do to invest in real estate and some of the corporations and LLCs that you may want to consider setting up. And we apologize. The show is not about what we were going to do because we had a guest that actually had to reschedule. So the show that's in regards to conservatorship and assisted living will be on, and that will air on February 15th. February 15th will be conservatorship and assisted living. Also with us, we have Lisa Swanson with Envoy Mortgage, a great partner that we work with as well. Hi, Lisa.
Good morning. How are you?
Great.
Awesome.
Looking forward to hearing your market update. And Gary and Marina Wilkerson, good morning. Welcome.
Thank you for joining.
Good morning.
So first part, we're going to talk about the market update. What's happened in the last week? Josh and Lisa, any news, new information,
I don't know about you, but I've been busy. I've been busy this last week. I've been busy the couple of weeks. It's been like 3 weeks that we've been just very busy. And we see that trend almost every year. And the stats show it. We've got a change in new listings. They're at up 7.1% from this time last year. And then change in the pending sales, we're up 17.8%, which is great. That means people are out there buying homes. There's the change in the pending sales that's a great statistic. And then the change in inventory, that's the downfall. We have all these buyers buying a bunch of stuff, yet our inventory is falling down because we're getting accepted offers on stuff right now. So that's down 6.1% right now.
All those are very, very good statistics for you out there, whether you are buying or selling. Those are great statistics because you're getting more people coming on this week compared to last year,
right.
7.1%. You're getting more pending sales, which means the buyers are out earlier.
Yep.
And I think a lot of them are doing that because they have great resources to buy now with some of the stuff for down payment and for mortgage insurance.
And it's great for you sellers out there. I think it's a great time to list your home. You can see by the statistics right now that there are buyers out there buying right now, so it's a great time.
Weather's been really good and cooperative for us, and yet we're still a little bit lower on our inventory. So as far as homes available, so sellers, buyers, you're actually doing what a lot of people are talking about doing, which is getting out there earlier this year. Than last year. So that's
I think a lot of it's got to do with the mild winter that we've had this year.
Yeah, it's been definitely a lot better. I've been happier this winter. Any other real estate? So you've been busy? What else?
I have been busy. I've out showing.
A lot of buyers?
I've got a lot of buyers. I've got probably 15 buyers that I'm working with right now.
Wow.
Seems like I'm always in my car, never at home, never get to see the kids. I'm running around in my car all day.
That's a good problem.
It is a good problem.
To be busy. You do have to set aside time for the family, as you know. I'm sure you do. Lisa Swanson, Envoy Mortgage. What's happening in the lending industry and the lending world these days?
Well, it's just like you both were speaking of. It is busy. I think that's a common term we use often, but statistically, mortgage applications have, for the second week in a row now, have increased by at least 22%. The refinance portion of those applications is equivalent. Last week it was at 71%. Now it's at 74%, which I'm sure is due to the low interest rates, the reduction in FHA private mortgage insurance. So there are a lot of extremely exciting things happening for consumers, not only to save money, immediately or the life over the loan, but also for new buyers coming into the market with more options, more buying power with these low rates, as well as with these new loan programs.
Yeah, that's and rates are ballpark? Are they still under 4, around 4? Or what's
pretty close?
What are you seeing?
Pretty close. It is going to be dependent on each individual situation. Our Minnesota housing loan program, those are actually in the low 3s. The conventional loan product, we're dipping between high 3s and low 4s, depending on the risk level of the client. So, overall, we're well lower than the last time we saw rates similar to this was in like May of 2013. So things are looking great.
Nice.
Great for buyers and sellers, as Josh mentioned.
Yes, so that is good for you out there if you're considering buying or selling. Both, all that is great news, and a lot of things that are lining up perfectly for you to have a good sale of your home, get a good price for your home, or for you to buy a home to get a great rate and have the home that you've wanted for a while. I know New Year's has passed. We're into January. We're settling into 2015. A lot of resolutions, and plans, as we called them last week, not to do resolutions because they don't stick, but plans, if you make a plan to buy or sell your home or to move this year. It's if you're ready and things line up now would be a great time. So you can always reach out to us anytime and call 651-400-0773, 651-400-0773, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have, give you any information you have and or that you need, and help out. Moving on to title. So title, Gary and Marina Wilkerson, what are you guys seeing from a market standpoint as far as activity? Everybody says they're busy. What are you guys seeing in the title world right now as far as closings and such?
Well, historically, January and February are our slowest months. And this is going to be probably better than most January and February's, but still, in terms of the year, probably slower. But we're seeing the orders start to come in.
Yep.
And we expect a real vibrant year. It's a wonderful time to buy and sell homes, as you pointed out. Interest rates are at wonderful levels. I don't think any of us expect these levels to exist forever. I couldn't tell you when they're going to change, but they will at some point. And if you're looking to buy, I can't imagine a better time.
And that goes for all of you buyers. If you're considering buying for yourself to live in, if you're considering to move from the house you've been in for a long time to move up or right size or downsize, or if you're considering buying investment property, the investor market is still very active and still flourishing because the rates are so good for the end consumer to go in, and the rents are still going. People are still renting. I think we'll see a push, or I would expect to see a little bit of a push from the renters when they start to realize, as they say, okay, we're getting settled in here. We've been in this rental for 3 years. Our rental rate has been going up every year. Now we're at a point where it actually makes sense to buy, and we feel comfortable in our job here. The economic recovery is kind of getting through the process so that they're secure in their job. And I think that will push some people to actually make the big decision and commit and buy a home as well. But
I'd like to talk about something, too, that everybody talks about interest rates being low and all that. Let's talk about products. There's been a lot of change with FHA and conventional that's really helping consumers go out and purchase a new home. And there's been changes in some of these products. Now, I know if conventional came up with a product that's 97% loan amount, where before you couldn't do it. Now they're allowing for a 3% down payment. Isn't that right, Lisa? Are you seeing that with the products, the new changes with some of these products in FHA and conventional and what they've done in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, that product actually hasn't come out specifically yet. We do know a lot of the guidelines that are going to be coming out. Fannie should be releasing that this week. Freddie will be releasing it the following week. But the other kind of neat thing, you mentioned not only the product's neat, but the jumbo product is becoming really popular now. Traditionally, one couldn't buy finance a jumbo loan without having an ARM.
Right.
They would pretty much, the only way one could get into it, you'd have to have a 5 or 7-1 ARM where it adjusts after that 5 or 7 years. Now we've seen that kind of gap, and we're trying to close that. So we have a really aggressive 30-year fixed jumbo loan product. So our jumbo clients have the same security as our traditional buyers with the property that they're purchasing, which is also really nice and opening up a lot of options for all of our consumers.
so jumbo, if you're out there listening and you don't know what that means, big, right? Means bigger jumbo.
Above 417 loan amount. Yep.
And another change, too, that I've noticed is FHA changed their loan limits here in the metro as well. It went from like 318,500, I believe, to like 322. Is that correct?
There's slight incremental changes every every year. So it's not a substantial change where, but it all helps because the more consumers we can get into those loan products that are easy to qualify for, the better.
It's a sign of better situation for our market, right? Because they're increasing. So that means you can get a max FHA loan or a purchase price of $322.
It'd be the loan. It would be the loan. Mhm.
So if you're FHA, you can go up to a higher amount, which means
than
that
before.
they're more comfortable, more confident in our marketplace.
Absolutely.
Is what that means. So,
Yep.
so those are.
The other thing to add, real quick, is when the FHA dropped the private mortgage insurance, what the private mortgage insurance does is it protects the government from default. So when they're reducing that default insurance, that's an extremely good sign.
Well, they're in the black again, correct? We talked about this, I think, last week or the week before, where FHA, the insurance, was always in the red. Now they're actually back where they're in the black, which has helped them reduce that monthly MI, correct?
I can't speak to that exactly, but that would be the assumption because otherwise, in previous years, that those fees have always continually increased to the consumer. So the reduction would mean that now it's profitable, or that the default rates have just lowered so substantially that they can pass that on to the consumer, which is part of the American dream and, part of passing on with the government what the benefit would be for the client.
So the risk is less, so they're willing to do less of a fee on the insurance. That makes total sense.
Yep.
So you're listening to the Stockwell Roche Show every Sunday, 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Josh Roche, RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
We have Gary and Marina Wilkerson with Premier Title, great partners, and we have Lisa Swanson with Envoy Mortgage on here. And just to wrap up the market activity out here of what's going on, new construction, that we'll talk about in the next segment. Josh, you just helped, or I should say we just helped someone with a new construction, and that is still a very, very vibrant piece of the pie in the marketplace, right?
Oh, for sure. I think, and we've talked about it on the show before, is moving forward in the next 5 years, I see new home construction being 30-40% of our business moving forward. It's just a matter of there being dirt out there to build on. And I think that's really helped suffer our inventory is not having those new home builds for people to move up into.
And that's the great Joshini. That was his prediction, saying the next 3 to 5 years.
Yes, I wore
the
that
great
hat.
Karnak Jr. So new construction, there was a little bit of a hesitation last year at the end of the year, last quarter. Some people were getting a little nervous, myself included, but we'll get into that about what now we're seeing. And
we're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on.
welcome back to the Stockwell Roche Show every Sunday at 10 a.m. on The Patriot. I don't want to interrupt that song. That's a lovely song.
I love that song.
We're moving
Childhood
on
right
up.
there.
We're moving on up into new construction. That's going to be our segment here. And Lisa Swanson with Envoy Mortgage, our great partner, left. She had some appointments to take care of. Her NLS number that I do have to say is 261955. That is hers. And please reach out to Lisa or find her on our Facebook page. And if you want to put faces to names ever with us, you can go to YouTube. We YouTube all of these shows so you can see who we are and what we're about. Stockwell Roche. Just go into YouTube and type in Stockwell Roche Show. Stockwell Roche. We got to spell that one.
Yeah, you
Josh,
better spell
sorry.
that. I hated first day of school. That's not fun.
Roueche.
That's
Did
correct.
I get that? Okay, that's a tough
More
one.
vowels than consonants, yes.
I think that makes you Spanish then, right?
Just
kidding.
Oh my gosh.
French.
That's the French.
That's French. And joining us,
Do I look Spanish?
a little bit.
All right, go.
Joining us, and Lisa, since Lisa left, is Robin Hartle, new home expert. She will be sharing her information. Designer, former host of former host of Home Time, and also the spokesperson for the Little Giant Stepladder. Gary and Marina Wilkerson with Premier Title. I personally love closing with Marina myself. I have a closing coming up here. It's kind of a tricky deal with a conservator. That's why we were going to do a show on that, or we will do a show on that on February 15th. And it had to do with the city involved and Liz pendants and all these things that I'm completely clueless on. And she has my back in that. So that's the type of things that they do for you as clients, is make sure that they tell you what's going on and make sure that you have a clear property that you own without issues, especially if you're doing some sort of construction financing where you're putting a lot of money down or you're using cash. It's very important, and it's very important all the way around, whether you're getting a loan too, of course, but it's all the way around.
And those are
important.
questions I get too when we're out. People ask, "Why do I need title?"
Yeah,
Why do
so
I need
that's a
title
question.
insurance?
Let's ask the experts. So Gary Wilkerson with Premier Title, why do you get title insurance, and what is it?
Well, it's like anything. You want expert advice. Now, if you do this for a living, you probably still buy title insurance, to be honest with you. But if you don't, you definitely need expert advice. So, my first counsel to somebody, I'm an attorney as well as being involved in the title insurance business. My first counsel is get a realtor, who's familiar with this subject. New construction is different from existing construction. There's different types of risks that have to be evaluated. There's a lot of business decisions that have to be made, and realtors can really help you and counsel you with that. There's a lot of choices out there, and they can help you shop around, make intelligent choices. Once you do select a home, now you're going to get title insurance if you have a lender involved, because they're going to require it. And the reason lenders require it, and you should always have it, is that there's so many different things that can be a problem that can affect your investment in your property. And title insurance protects you from at least the things that can be protected in terms of acquisition of property. So, what you're dealing with in new construction, when you buy, you get what's called title. It's basically a deed to the property. It gives you ownership in the property, subject to certain things. And one of the things you're always subject to is a mortgage if you take out financing. And maybe there's some easements that allow you access to the property. Those things are acceptable, but you don't want there to be old mortgages. You don't want there to be people selling to who actually don't own the property. I mean, there's all kinds of those things that get evaluated in any sort of process. But with new construction, there's another level of issue that's potential, and that has to do with mechanics liens.
Yes, I was just thinking that. Yep.
Minnesota is, not all states are like this, but Minnesota allows for liens to be filed which can kind of predate your ownership, even predate the mortgage that you take out, even though they are filed after the date of the mortgage.
Oh.
That is unique, and it is the source of the largest number of claims for title companies in the state of Minnesota. So,
Really?
yes, it is.
Yes.
Huh.
And so, you always so you want insurance, but you want insurance with a title company that knows new construction. We have a whole department that does nothing but lien audits to make sure that everybody's been paid. And what I'm talking about is, in Minnesota law, anyone who performs work or supplies materials on new construction that results in a visible improvement to the property has a right to lien that property. And their right to lien is for 90 days after the date that work is performed.
Oh, wow.
So theoretically, they can file the lien well after you've bought the property.
Yeah.
So you hire a title company to make sure that everybody gets paid.
Right.
And
That's huge. You
that
gotta
you
have
get
that.
the lien waivers, from the people performing the work. Lien waiver basically says, I've been paid and I give up my right to file a lien against the property. And that protects the homeowner from that possibility. And, it depends on the builder. Now, if your builder pays all their bills timely, then those issues might not come up.
That was a big thing, I think, in like 2008, 2009.
Gary, if I can just
yes, go ahead.
add, yeah.
I know what you're going to talk about.
Actually, no, I just want to actually correct. So the contractors, subcontractors, they can file a lien within 120 days after.
Oh,
The last
120
day
days.
of work.
So
Not
even
90.
longer.
Yeah.
120 days, 4 months, they have to file a lien. But for them to file a valid lien on the property, they have to actually serve the owner with the pre-lien notice. The pre-lien notice that says that we are going to do work on the property and it's going to cost this much approximately, or the pre-lien notice can be served or sent to the owner within 45 days after the first day of work. So if the pre-lien notice is served and it says, okay, so we've done work on the property and it cost $2,000, so then it's a red flag. So it means these
Right.
people didn't get paid.
So there's a lot of things what I'm hearing from Gary and Marina here with Premier Title that when you're buying new construction, that can be done after. So after you've already
After
made
you
financial
moved in,
commitment, you have a loan. in place and all those things. And the other thing I want to point to you out there is, if you're listening, if you're thinking new construction, or you have a friend or family member that's thinking of buying new construction, if the banks require title insurance, or anybody buying a home, if you're getting a loan and the people that are putting up the money, the bank, require you to have title insurance, it's usually a good sign that if they're requiring you to get it, you should have it too. Because if the big players that are putting up the money have it, you should as well, to protect yourself. So make sure you are asking your realtor, make sure you're asking your lender and your title person who is doing the title for this, and then, do I have adequate title insurance? And then the other thing is, with the new construction, what I'm hearing from Gary and Marina for you out there is, make sure that you get someone who knows new construction, because my sense is you can have a title company that may not do something in time, or maybe they're not having their everything covered or all ducks in a row, and then you get a lien after, or someone files one or did a pre-lien, and then you see that after, and then now you're in a battle of liability, I would presume, with the title company, from an owner standpoint, to the title company of who's responsible. Is that right, Gary? Or?
That is correct, and there are circumstances where that notice is not required. If you're the owner of the property contracting for the service, then they don't have to give you a pre-lien notice. So, right. I mean, there's all kind of nuances I didn't want to get into.
Tons and tons of details.
Purposes. But you do want somebody that knows what they're doing, talking to you about it, and insuring you from it. The other thing that a title company does besides insure is it conducts the closing, and that's something that Marina does. And
she's great at it, by the way. I've been to a number of closings with Marina. It's a lot of paperwork. But yet it can be kind of boring if you're sitting there and everybody. But she makes it really fun. She's very engaging and also very professional with the paperwork. So that's one.
Well, thank you, Jason.
You bet.
What does a closer do, Marina?
The closer actually talks the documents at the closing, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done prior to closing. So we clear title, we make sure that there's nothing that needs to be, that the people who are at the closing and are buying a property, that they are not going to have any problems after they purchase the property.
So it's like painting. The painter, it's like 80% of your work or 90% of your work is done prior to the day of actual
so 90%
closing.
of the work is done prior to closing. When you come to closing, so all you need to do is just talk the documents, explain to people, all the documents, and if there are any issues, so that they understand, and also explain to them, because that's when we actually talk about title insurance, when we explain the settlement statement. So,
yes.
And that's when we're saying that, we recommend that you purchase title insurance at that point.
And
why.
The consumer can choose that, but again, if you're getting a loan and they're having it, then you should probably have it, because there's tons and tons of things that could happen, and some of them are low risk, but you don't want to be one of the ones that happens when a low risk probability comes up.
Well, and I think when you're buying a house too, a lot of that falls on the realtor, because you have the choice as a consumer to choose your own title company. But a lot of them put that on the realtor, and you make sure you're using a good realtor, because the realtor is going to know who a good title company is and be able to get you pointed in the right direction.
Yes, and so Gary and Marina with Premier Title. Gary is a certified real estate specialist, and he's a president of Premier Title. What does the certified real estate specialist mean, Gary?
Well, it means I have a certain amount of experience in the industry, and I've passed a specific test that qualifies me as an expert in the real estate area. I can't remember what year the first designation was given, but I was amongst the first people certified. So I've been an attorney for over 30 years and a real estate specialist for over 20.
So you've seen a lot of things in 30 years of being.
You didn't want to disclose your age, is what's going on.
And I'm still only 35. It's pretty miraculous, actually. Very, very young to go through law school.
Which is true.
But, I was going to make a couple points as you were talking, just kind of made me think of a few things. One technical thing. Minnesota is what's called a race notice state. And what that means is the first one to record a document with the county wins. So if I record my deed before you record your mortgage, or before you record your lien, your lien is out of luck.
Right? Exactly, it's first position. Yep,
but if you hire a title company that, say, takes 3 weeks to record your deed and something arises in between, you're now in trouble.
That's a very, very good point. So that's why you need an expert. So find Gary and Marina online, or you can call 952-842-8489. We'll be back with them on more. And Robin Hartle is anxious to chime in here as well. We'll be back. Josh is dancing again. I love every week I get to see Josh dance.
You know when I hear that song, I think the Three Amigos. I think of the Three Amigos every time.
We're back. You're listening to the Stockwell Roche Show every Sunday here on AM 1280 The Patriot at 10 a.m. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Josh Roche, Remax Advantage Plus.
Gary and Marina Wilkerson, Premier Title, talking about new construction. Robin Hartle is with us as well with Remax Results. Going to share some of her insight on some things that are going on right now in the marketplace. It's very, very active, robust right now in January, coming out of the gate in 2015 with active buyers looking, active sellers selling, remodeling, all kinds of things going on. To step back one segment back when Marina was talking about what a closer does. I believe, Gary, you asked your wife what a closer does. From my standpoint of what it is, the people, the buyers, you out there listening, whenever you've done a real estate transaction, you know the realtor, you're there with them all the time. You probably know your mortgage lender because you hear from them and they ask all kinds of information. You may or may not even know until the day you show up for your closing who your title representative is or even what company it may be. But they have done loads of work
right,
to get you to that point. Because once the realtor gets you the house and writes the purchase agreement and it's accepted, then the loan officer does their stuff, but they're going back and forth with that title company, and that title company is doing all kinds of things to make sure that that loan can get through. And all their work, or 90% of that work is done ahead of time. And then you get to the closing, and then they're there. And if there's any problems, sometimes they're the first people that we look at and say, hey, what happened or what's going on? Or if there's any delays, but it may not have anything to do with them. So be nice to your closers and your title people is what I would say, because they're actually on your side. They're working for you, and they're actually ensuring it. So they want to make sure that everything is good, so they have an insurable product, just like anything. I would say that as well. Marina.
When I have questions too, let's say I've got a listing or something coming up, and there's something that just seems fishy about it, I actually make a phone call because I know there's some legal representation there with some of these title companies that can help you answer these questions prior to you putting in an offer or prior to you listing a home.
Or during your contingency period, you can check things out.
So they're a
and say,
huge
how clean
resource
is this?
for me and Jason and all realtors really out there.
Very, very needed piece of the puzzle, but not the ones that you may even know or even think about because, again, you're not in contact directly with them. But you can always contact them. So contact Gary and Marina if you have any title questions, 952-842-8489. Experts in new construction and remodels and regular home sales and all kinds of things. Getting into the other things we want to talk about, which is remodels. What's going on? Robin, what are you seeing lately, or what's happening in your world as far as remodels, new construction? Are you seeing anything like that going on in the world?
Yeah, tons of it, because, people are looking to spring and they're thinking, well, I'm going to sell my house this spring. If you are thinking about updating your home before you put it on the market, now is the time to do it, because it takes some time to get those projects done before you put your home on the market. And if you're going to start doing those projects, now is the time to do it. And I'm seeing a lot of people. I'm also a designer as well as a real estate agent. So I'm helping a lot of people right now get their homes ready to put on the market very soon. And so a lot of these remodeling contractors are super busy right now.
Oh, getting contractors is the toughest job right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask me, well, how much should I actually put into my home before I put on the market?
Huge question.
That's
hear that all
really
the time.
big. Yeah. And they don't want to put too much into it because, they're afraid they're not going to get that back out of it.
And a lot of do you see that when they do that, do you see them really getting a lot of return? And that's one of the biggest questions that are out there when you do something like that.
A lot of people make the big mistake that they think that if they're going to spend $50,000 on their kitchen, they think they're going to get $50,000 back out of their house. And that is a big mistake. They're not going to get out what they're going to put back into their home. And so that's where a real estate agent is going to come into play. You're going to talk to a real estate agent and say, what is your home worth on the market right now? What do you think you're going to be able to list it for? That's when you decide how much you're going to be able to put into.
What are you seeing price per square footage?
Right.
What's going on in your area the last 6 months of sales within 1 mile radius? And that's kind of when you see it in an appraisal, that's what an appraiser does. It goes out within one mile, last 6 months sales. And that's basically kind of what you got to look at as far as your value of your home.
So if you're considering selling this spring, reach out early. to someone and ask them. Don't be afraid to call and ask. That's part of the duty. Real estate agents wear a lot of hats, do a lot of duties, and many of them, like Robin, for example, who is a design expert and designer, can help you figure out what to do that may be the most cost-effective or some reasonable cost items that will actually get you the return you want. And also maybe not doing the big project, or maybe you do the big project because it does make sense. I mean, there's a lot of things, but you got to have the information to do it. So always call and reach out to us.
And if you're interested in finding out the value of your home, like I've said it before, it's like a doctor's appointment. Do that every year.
Yeah.
Me and Jason will do that for free. Get you a free CMA on your home. And Jason, give them the phone number that they can call to get that done.
Yeah, you can call us anytime, 651-400-0773, 651-400-0773. YouTube, Stockwell Roche. Just Google Stock or YouTube.
Or talk
search.
real estate, talk TwinCitiesRealEstate.com.
There's lots of ways to find us. Google is amazing to find us. You can find anybody. So as far as investing, so if you're out there and you're thinking of, this year might be the year I pull the trigger and I buy an investment property, or I have investment properties, or I want to do an exchange on some of my investment properties to buy different multifamily building. You're seeing a lot of that going on. Or if you want to build a home and buy the land and build a home, talking about these title things, I'm doing some builds right now myself, and I am seeing exactly what Gary and Marina were talking about as far as the title insurance and the liens and the pre-liens. I'm getting a lot of those because I think contractors are cautious of covering their butt as well, too, because they've been burned. But as far as investing, Gary is an expert in some of these things as well, I know. So what are some things people should consider when investing? There's a zillion things we can dive into, but as far as, setting up people are like, oh, you got to set up trusts, or you got to set up LLCs, or you got to do one for every property, or you got to do this or that. What's some
protection.
simple, it can be overwhelming to you out there if you're thinking of doing it. So what's a first step thing that may be simple, easy, a couple things that someone could learn from, Gary?
Once you got to do the financial analysis first, and really, your broker can help you with that.
Yep.
I'm going to pay X price, I can get X rent, therefore, it works. And once you make the decision that it works, what you don't want to do is put your money into something and it's working, but something else comes back and bites you. Again, buying title insurance protects you from those sorts of issues, and I really don't know anybody that buys investment property that doesn't buy title insurance. I think that's a pretty easy sell because anybody sophisticated understands those risks can be insured at for a reasonable cost, and you just don't take those risks. But the other thing that can happen is someone can get hurt in your property, and or there can be other types of issues where someone would sue you, and you can somewhat buy insurance to cover those risks, and perhaps you're comfortable with that type of arrangement. Most sophisticated investors would set up a separate entity that would own that property in addition to buying insurance, because what it does is it confines any risk you have to the property itself.
Right.
That's your only asset in, let's say you form an LLC. That's a limited liability company. It can be formed under Minnesota law. It's similar to a corporation. It's generally the vehicle used these days because it's easy from a tax point of view and just in terms of how it operates. So let's say you set up this LLC and you put $10,000 into it, get a mortgage on the property, and the horrible thing happens, somebody sues you for a lot more than that property's worth. That LLC protects your personal wealth from those lawsuits.
So your 401k...
It's asset protection is what you're talking about.
Exactly what it is.
Your asset protection. You're protecting your assets as an individual versus your entity.
You're isolating that asset. You're saying, okay, anything bad happens to that asset, that's bad, but it doesn't affect my other assets.
So if you're starting out, you're just thinking of investing, call us, reach out to us, find us, email us. We will walk you through this. Gary's an expert on a lot of these things as well, and you can work with him as far as some of these things, and some of his people can help you out. But the first step is to reach out to someone to help you if you find an opportunity, you want to make that step. I think it's a good idea for almost any person, just from a tax purpose, whatever other interest you have besides your job. Let's say you're working a regular 9-to-5 or a regular W-2 job. Start a separate company just for an LLC, just have an LLC, because that can also help you on taxes. It's a whole nother show we can talk about, but there's a lot of benefits to having an LLC set up. for protection from you, and there's also a lot of benefits of having a separate business set up, no matter what that is. If you're into design, like Robin is, or if you're into photography, or if you're into real estate, or whatever it may be, it's a good idea to consult with experts to set up that LLC. And there's also tax benefits that we can talk about later in another show about having that business, that side business or separate business.
Asset protection.
Any other things from a standpoint of investing? I've still seen a lot of investors in my listing portfolio that are buying right now.
They're out there, especially in that price range from $0 to like $150,000.
You tell me what's available in that range. And
and that's what I'm saying. When you got that's a disadvantage for those first-time home buyers. That's that price range that they're looking for their first home.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many investors out there that have cash.
Yes.
And cash is king. You submit an offer, you have multiple offers, and you've got these young families that are trying to find a $150,000 home. They're submitting offers in with FHA financing, conventional FHA 203K. And yet you have investors coming in with cash. They're cash heavy.
Still here. Now, the investors their activity is down just because the foreclosure inventory is down. But I had a team meeting this morning. One of my agents, they were $12,000 over asking price on a property, and they lost to I believe a lower offer, but they lost out to a cash offer. They were putting 25% down conventional. So,
and cash is king. When they're always going to accept that cash offer versus that FHA or that 203K.
So we've had a dramatic recovery in the last couple of years as far as the real estate market goes here in the Twin Cities. So it's good news for many, many, many people. We'll be back after the break. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Josh Roche, RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
We're here with Gary and Marina Wilkerson with Premier Title and Robin Hartle with RE/MAX Results. And we'll be back shortly.
We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city on rock and roll. Built this city.
You ain't gotta leave the house to have a good time. I'm gonna bring the good time home to you. We'll have a house party. We don't need no
Jason's dancing.
I'm dancing this time. I think there's going to be a lot of house parties going on the way the activity's starting out here in January. A lot of spring housewarming parties, so that'll be exciting.
Off the bubbly.
I don't know if I've heard that song.
I haven't either, but it had a good beat.
We're back. You're listening to the Stockwell Roche Show every Sunday morning here at 10 a.m. on AM 1280 The Patriot. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Josh Roche, RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Talking about home construction and investing in real estate with Gary and Marina Wilkerson with Premier Title and Robin Hartle with RE/MAX Results. Getting in back to the new construction. So personally, I have a couple of projects going on for my company does for new construction, and I said in an earlier segment that we had a scare in the last little mini scare, couple of sleepless nights in the last third and fourth quarter because we didn't. We've been through in the real estate business. We've been through the downturn. We saw what happened, and there was some little bit of signs that were making me a little uneasy, and lack of activity, lack of emails, lack of showings, and it's so refreshing coming out of the new year, seeing this activity. And I'm very confident in all the projects now that we have going on.
When was that scare? Was that right before the holidays?
It was basically from like end of July, August to kind of wind. And I'm like, I'm talking with other people. What's going on?
Right.
Nothing's happening all the way through. So it was kind of a long, So, we went over predictions last week. I think first half of this year is going to be, foreseeable is going to be great. And the second half, we don't know. So hopefully it's not like last year's second half. Not to say it was bad. It wasn't bad. It was just uneasy because it was so good in the beginning half of last year in 2014. Gary Wilkerson, here, certified real estate specialist, attorney. You work with a lot of people that do projects, I would imagine, builds, new construction, whether it's commercial, residential. What are you hearing from them and yourself and what are you seeing from? Was I right in that little bit of a hesitation or scare last year? And what are you seeing coming out of the gate here?
I was going to say the good news for you is that you're not alone. It wasn't you and it wasn't the way you were building that was causing the lack of emails. Every client that I have, every customer that we have with our title company, which includes a lot of builders and developers and other people that are in the real estate business, they had exactly that experience. Mm-hmm. After August, things were dead in the water, and where they were out vigorously looking for land and building homes, they decided that maybe they better pull back a little bit. And now, since the beginning of this year, this is the best January that I can remember for new construction. And I hope it's emblematic of what the year's going to bring. And just like you, I can't predict out, more than maybe 6 months. But I think it'll be a good 6 months. And I think it'll get harder to find homes in the future, not easier. So again,
and why is that? Is that because of inventory? Is that because there's just not enough dirt out there to build a new construction?
Yeah, the earth just isn't making any more land for us. Unless we start filling in lakes and so forth, we're running out. And so there'll be homes, but they're going to be farther out.
Right.
You're just going to have to keep going farther out. You're going to have to buy into a larger drive time to work, perhaps, than you would if you bought now.
Existing homes.
Yep. Yeah, you have to take. And the other thing,
there's some older areas
exactly.
that just
Edina, Richfield, they have a lot of
old homes.
Yeah,
a lot of them when you get into that the first ring suburb or even part of the second ring. But also, as far as if you're out there thinking of buying new construction, the people that built and had the homes on the market here, like myself, some of the homes on the market through the fourth quarter of last year, they're available now. They're ready to go. They're totally move-in ready. Everything's done. They're perfectly ready. So take advantage of some of these rates and go after some of those, because before as we see, because like I said last week, I think I'm seeing 300,000 and under really, really moving right now. And then I'm starting to see some of the listings that are in the 5 to 6 start to go and and then it'll start to go up from there. So I think the higher end stuff that some of the higher end stuff that maybe new construction in Edina or Minnetonka or Wayzata will move in the next 60 days. It'll start to go, because it starts out with the first time buyers going in and then the move up buyers, and then from there, I think, is what I'm seeing. So take advantage of it now while you know the rates are at where they're at and the available inventory that is there.
Well, I would also chime in, like you, Jason, we do construction and we do development, and we are hiking prices.
Yes.
And we're still going off the fall prices, but that will change. There'll be a springtime adjustment.
Yep.
So, January is a good time to buy before the market heats up.
It's
really
economics
heats up.
101.
And exactly what happens every spring. So I talked, and more so this spring probably than any other, because I went down and showed a one-level living place in Egan for one level, more tailored to people that want one-level living. And the agent called me and said, "This is our price right now today. We have 30 days left to finish out the construction. If it doesn't sell, we're going to be $15,000 more after that 30 days, which will be putting it up right around mid-February is when it will be done, and that's when they're going to have the price increase. And as you get into the parade of homes and you get into those things, that's where you're going to see the prices be a little bit higher. So why not do it now? You could probably save yourself some money. Even if you're maybe not looking to move for 60 days or 90 days, it might be good to get it under contract.
Or get a game plan put together. That's all I say. Just talk to a realtor, get a game plan put together, and figure out what your scenario looks like, and let us help you.
What activity are you seeing, Robin, with some of these things?
I'm starting to. I see a lot of first-time home buyers. I see a lot of people that have been renting for a while, and the rents are going up, and they're saying, you know what, I'm tired of renting, and with the rates that are low, and with that conventional financing, the low down payments, why not buy a home? And because of that, a lot of those people are starting to come and say, hey, what can I do? And I guarantee you this spring, we're going to see multiple offers on those lower priced homes. So if you are even thinking about buying right now, you better start getting, a hold of a lender like Lisa from Envoy Mortgage and start getting pre-qualified, because right now is a really good time to do it before spring hits and everybody's out there and everybody's bidding on the same homes.
Yeah, January's been amazing. I've already seen some multiple offers on some of the properties.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it's been really, really good out of the gate to see that, and it can only probably get better from there. Our jobs are phenomenal here in the Twin Cities. There's a lot of people that have great jobs and people are moving in here. And
the
this
relocation,
winter,
right.
people are going to stay here because this winter's being a little more mild than last couple of winters, maybe.
I might stick around a little bit.
I think we were voted.
Changes. We'll get dumped on next year.
I saw an article that Minnesota was voted tied, because we couldn't get it alone, but we were tied with another state. I don't know what state it was, as the best places to live on some.
I saw that article too.
And it
was top 5 though.
They obviously don't live here.
We were at number one,
We were
tied
number
with
one.
the number with another. We were tied with another state, and the reason someone made a comment and said, if it wasn't for some of the harsh winters, we would easily be number one. And I think people that are here, they look at the schools, they look at the work, they look at the
that's
houses.
the article I saw. I saw that Minnesota is ranked in the top 5 as far as education. And a lot of people are educated in this market, which is,
Yep.
it really does. It helps with jobs. It helps with that's why our job market, our employment, I mean, that's one of the factors that we have such a good job. We have the number 1 relocation market in the U.S. right now with all the big corporations.
Corporations we have. Nice. That's very good to hear. So we have a little bit of time left. Gary and Marina Wilkerson, Premier Title. You can reach them 952-842-8489. If you want to see what we all look like, I know Josh wants you to see what he looks like. You can go
Face for radio.
You can go to YouTube and type in Stockwell Roche Show. His last name is Roueche. Gary and Marina, thank you so much for being on. Do you have anything that you want to add or talk about as far as for people out there that are listening?
Just listen to the experts and seek expert advice. That's realtors, that's mortgage lenders, and that's title companies.
That's great advice coming from someone who's been practicing law for 30 years, right?
More.
More than 30 years.
He doesn't want to talk about his age.
I was 5 when I went to law school.
So
Well, I just want to reach out and say, hey, it's a pleasure having you on the show. I would love to have you come back more, be a part of the show, because I
you guys
love
are
that
great.
advice.
And Robin, thank you. Oh, what's coming up in April? Want to give a little
April
teaser?
10th through the 12th, we've got the Home Remodeling Expo at the Convention Center. We're going to be there, and it's the biggest show of the year. So if you're thinking about doing any remodeling or anything, come out to the Home
April
Remodeling.
10th through the 12th, Remodeling Expo Convention Center will be live again on the 12th. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Josh Roche, Remax
You've
Advantage
been
Plus.
listening to the Stockwell Roche Show. We'll talk to you next week. Remember, love yourself and love others.